Hello everyone, thanks again for watching this video. I'm Ido from Nokobot, and I'm gonna walk you through the scripting interface and how to use the Spline system from scripting. What we're gonna do is we're going to go over the scripts that you get with tutorials, with the demo scenes, and a little bit more functionality that you can use from scripting. So before I'm starting, just don't forget to read the README, and you can always visit us at nokobot.com or send us an email to support@nokobot.com. So, going to the demo, this is the first demo scene. If you don't know what the Spline system is, or you never seen this demo before, please watch the other tutorial video on the system just to show you how to use the basic functionality. Okay, so the scripts that we have, if you remember, we'll go over it real quick. We used area walker to have the AI walk inside the shape. We have the line walker to have the AI walk on a set line. And we also saw with the NavMesh system the script that uses the NavMesh to walk and not just walk around in a straight line. So we'll start first from the area walker. No, we're going to start from the line walker, from the patrol. It's a little bit simpler, I think. We'll open up MonoDevelop. Okay, so what we got here. First, I want you to notice that I'm using Nokobot and Nokobot splines. Nokobot is so I can access the Spline manager, and Nokobot Spline is so I can get the Spline itself. Actually, here it's pretty useless, but okay, let's continue. So, as you can see, I have a public string here, which is the Spline name, and I have a property drawer for the spline name, so it will only show you the splines that are relevant to this scene. If you want to see every spline that you have on the system, you can set this to false, and it will show you here every spline that you got. So what I'm doing at the start, I'm caching the transforms just for performance, and I'm also accessing the Spline manager, and I'm asking for the spline with that name, and I'm taking all of the points on that spline. As you can see, you can set the only waypoints to true, and what that will do, if you remember when we create the spline, for example, the red spline, you have all of these points, the key points, they are actually what I call waypoints. But to get a curve, you get that amount of points between every key point. So to get each key point is getting only the waypoints is only the points that you manually entered, and if you get every point, that means the curved line. I hope you could make sense of it. So I'm taking all of these points, that's an array of vector trees, and I'm caching it to a variable called path. And then it's pretty straightforward. I'm moving to the first point, I'm teleporting to the first point, looking at the next point, and basically every frame I'm going forward, and I'm checking the distance to see if I reach the path, the next point on the path. If I did, I'm increasing my index, making sure I'm not overshooting, and looking at the next point, and again going forward. So basically what we're gonna do, what this script is doing, is every time it reaches a waypoint, it looks at it going forward, reaches a waypoint, looking at the next waypoint, and then keeps going forward. That's pretty simple. So the other script we got is the area walker, which is basically the same thing, but I'm not getting every points on the line because I don't really care about the boundaries in that way. What I have here is it's the same as the spline name, and here you see the spline. That's what I need this using statement for, to get the structure of the spline, the class. So I'm caching the class here on the start. I'm getting this spline, and now I'm checking if I reached my target. If I did, I'm asking for random point inside. Random point inside just give me a random point inside the shape, the full curved shape. And then I'm looking at that point and going in a straight line. So that's just going in a beeline to the next random point, and when I'm close enough, I'm choosing another point. That's a very, very simple script. I added this functionality so you can use it for example, for just AIs that are walking inside animals inside a farm, for example, or enemy NPC roaming in an area, or something like that. What else we got here that is actually useful? Okay, alert. Alert is used for this part. If you notice, if you remember from the demo scene, I will play it again. Every time this guy walks inside this area, his color changes. Okay, so what I actually did here is two things. I have this guy walking, just area walker like the rest of them, walking in the green shape, in the green spline. Okay, and I also draw another spline for alert, which is the internal spline here. And where did I put it? Here, alert. And then I used this script, and I told him the spline that I'm using and the target AI character. So what the alert script is doing, first, again at the start, it's caching the spline, the alert spline, and also it's caching the renderer of the AI, just so we can show when it's inside, so the color can change. What I'm doing every update is I'm checking whether the target position is inside the spline. If it is, I'm setting the color to green. If not, I'm setting it to black. If this expression confuses you, so it's basically like writing if spline is inside that position, it's basically checking if the target position is inside this spline. So if it is, then render material color so basically this part here is the same as this one, just easier for me to read. Okay, that's basically it. I'm gonna go over the mesh, the nav mesh script really quickly. This script is a little bit more complex. I'm caching the animator here and the nav mesh agent. I'm getting the components and the spline, the area spline. And now it's basically the same as the area walker. I'm getting a random point inside the area. but I'm starting a routine here that is waiting for set amount of time and then setting the destination for the NavMesh agent to work, and setting the boolean in the animator so the animation can start. It's really basically the same, just if you see here I'm walking forward, so in the NavMesh I'm not walking forward, I'm just setting the destination of the NavMesh agent. So that's basically it. It's really simple to use. I tried to make it as much user-friendly as I could. I want to go over some more functionality in the script if I need to. Let's see. I'll just open up a testing script. And first I want to see what I got in the Spline manager. So let's see what we got here. We got get all points from Spline. The name here is the name of the spline. So there's a difference. Get points is getting only the waypoints. Get all points is getting the points that builds the curve. Get names is returning an array of every spline you created with Spline Manager. Get names for scene is get and you have to enter the scene name. It will give you only the names of the splines that are relevant for this scene. Get spline will return the spline class for that name. You can get the gizmo size. You can check if a spline exists, so if the name is valid basically. And that's everything got in the Spline Manager. Basically, the goal of the Spline Manager is to give you an easy access to the splines classes themselves. So let's see what we got more on the spline itself. If you use Nokobot splines, then you can have spline. So first of all, you can create spline from script. You don't have to use the interface. You can always do a new spline, and you can bind it to scene. You need to give it. Basically, every spline is built from lines, and a line is basically its start and end and a modifier. The modifier is the relative location of the point that is building the curve, if you can make sense of it. So you can access the properties, or you can set them. You can always, again, create a new line and tell it, okay, that's a line, for example, from vector 3, 0 to vector 3, 1 with a 0 modifier. That means that's straight line, and that's it. You can create the lines and build a spline from the lines. And then on the line itself, you can add points, and it will automatically create the lines for you. You can add a line if you created it before. You can get the vector 4 that basically represents the boundaries of the spline. That means the smallest rectangle that holds the shape. You can get the center point of the shape. You can change the color if you can insert a color, or just enter null for a random color. You can see if the spline is closed. You can get the closest point on the spline to a relative point. For example, if you have your agent standing here, for example, and you want to know what is the closest point on the spline for him, so we can access it and then go back on his route, for example, that will return the closest point. You can create a copy of the spline, so you can edit it without affecting the first one. You can get the distance from a point. That means, again, for the same scenario, if you want to know what the distance from your location to any point on the spline, that's the function you should use. And you can get the length of the spline. That means it sums the distance it takes to walk along the spline. Again, you can get the points. Basically, the default is to get all the points, and if you set the variables to true, then it will give you only the waypoints. Get points relative to and spline relative to basically returns the spline as if the center point was somewhere else. For example, what you can use it for is you created a circle that is an area. For example, an alert area. If you go near the character inside that spline, then it, I don't know, explodes or something. So every time you check, if you will check is inside every time for the spline, then it will check as if the spline is always at the same point. But if the character moves, then you need to first get spline relative to your new position, for example, and then check if it's inside. And that basically makes the spline move with your agent. What else do we have here that is useful? Is inside, as I explained. It checks if the given point is inside the shape. Lines will return a list of every spline you got, of every line you got in the spline. Name will return the name of the spline. Points on curve is it's actually from how many lines a curve is built. Why is that important? Well, let's look at the cinematic shape, for example. As you can see, it's a nice curved shape, but you can still see, I don't know if you can see it very well from the video, but you can still see it's a little bit broken. If I will lower the amount of point I have on a curve, then you can really see how jagged that is. So if I ramp it up, it will become smoother, but it will also be heavier, and there's higher chance to overshoot a point. And yeah, basically it's a matter of performance versus accuracy of the line. So for me 10 is like the magic number, but you can always change it. Random point inside is it returns just a random point inside the shape. Recalculate bounds is if you moved points or change the lines from script, it's better to run the recalculate bound, so it just recalculates the whole thing, so there's no errors or overshooting or something like that. Set closed is again set if the spline is closed or not. Scene returns the scene that the spline is bound to. And that's pretty much it. That's everything you really need to know to start using the system. So it has a lot of potential, I think, for a lot of more complex things. For example, you can build the spline on runtime and act accordingly. So, for example, for a tower defense game, that could be nice. And again, the point relative to, that means that you can build, for example, a shape that represents the area around an agent that he needs to react to something. So I'm taking this shape, for example, the color is really bad, and then if I use the relative points to function, then I actually attach this this shape. I'm attaching it to the agent, and it walks along with him, and it reacts accordingly. So also what we got here in the advanced options is you can see, for example, you can change the gizmo size. You can show all. Will let you see the splines that are not bound to the scene. You can bind them to the scene that you want if they are not already bind. But be careful with that. I added the option just because you might, if you play around with the scene, you change the names a lot, you might lose the binding. So I added the option so you can fix it, but be careful with it because you might actually use a spline that you built on a different scene on this scene, and the AI just won't work as you expected it. Allow local coordinates is basically for the waypoint, so that the handles are on local space and not on world space. But again, be careful with that as well, because you might get weird things when you reach a 90-degree angle above a different point, but it can still be useful. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have to show you for now. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any time at support at nokobot.com, or visit nokobot.com, and you can find me there. You can always send me a message on the Unity forums, and that's it. If you plan to use this with scripting, it will be very useful for you to use the docs. It lays out every function and property that we have, and you can always get in touch with us if you need something changed, or you want to ask something, you think you want to add something, it will be better for everybody, then I'm open to suggestions. Please let us know. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and enjoy the Spline Manager.